What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for July the 4th of 2019. Of course, if you are brand new to the show, welcome on in, and this is a daily gaming news podcast where I bring you the hottest gaming news that you need to know 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. roughly Eastern Time. Now, I will say, happy 4th of July, whatever you might be doing, however you might be celebrating. I do hope you enjoy the show and also the time you spend with your friends, your family, or just hanging out and playing some games. As for me, I'll be working, but that's totally fine because you know what? Making that bread. Capitalism. What a better way to celebrate the 4th of July. But as you can see, we have a bit of a patriotic background to celebrate today. Thought I'd kind of spruce things up a bit and change up the look of the show since we are celebrating a holiday today. But today, we are talking about Microsoft's cloud-only Xbox as our headline story. Now, we've been talking for the past few months about the next generation of Xbox, and specifically the fact that it seems like there was another smaller version of the Project Scarlett that was canceled, something of a next-gen Xbox, but an entry-level that has been canned. But now reports are coming in that a digital-only cloud-based Xbox is still in development. We'll talk more about that and what that means for your console choices coming up in the next year or two. Then, a hacker in the DDoS attacks on Daybreak Games gets 2 years in prison. Call of Duty Modern Warfare will let you reload while aiming down sight, which is a pretty big piece of news for those that like playing Call of Duty in a very strategic kind of way. Grid has been delayed until October, so Codemasters can promote it more. Normally, I don't really show off delays on the show in a mainline kind of format, because generally that's just kind of passing news, but this one's big because of the fact that it is literally for promotion, and I have a couple of thoughts on that. EA Originals is the company's way of keeping in touch with talent as it struggles with its bad guy perception, and that is a direct quote. The PlayStation Classic has a big price drop. We will talk about if it is now worth the price of $25 to pick up a PlayStation Classic, and then I have a freebie for you Apex Legends players out there who might also be subscribers of Twitch Prime. There are some skins available for you, with more to come in the next couple of weeks if you did want to spruce up the way that your characters look in the world of Apex Legends. But that is pretty much the lineup for today's show. Again, if you are brand new here, I do hope you enjoy what I bring to the table. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's top stories. First off, Microsoft's cloud-only Xbox is still in development, according to a report. Microsoft is seemingly still interested in making a dedicated streaming device to complement its next-gen Scarlett console offering. Microsoft has reportedly reverted to its original plan for next-gen for releasing 2 consoles, except the other one isn't the less powerful version of Scarlett. That one is dead. No, this is the streaming-only device meant to be the lowest entry point into next-gen. Nearly 1 year ago, reports suggested Microsoft would go into the next generation of consoles armed with a traditional box like Scarlett and another for streaming. Project xCloud had not been shown off publicly at that point, so the thinking at that point was that game streaming works best with a piece of hardware doing some light lifting. And so this still may be the case because according to a new report from Thurrott's Brad Sams, this cloud-exclusive Xbox is still in active development. Sam suggests the low-power Xbox will be capable enough to allow players to move around in a virtual environment, but crucially game elements like NPCs, interactables, text, and even graphics will not be there. This is obviously not playable, but the idea is that having movement calculations run locally reduces input lag compared to a 100% streamed game, such as that of Google Stadia. Though this might make technical sense, it's hard to imagine the company pushing this hard unless the difference is really perceptible. Of course, there is a lot we still don't know about the streaming market, and some segment of that audience may opt to pay $80 or so to get an experience better than running the game through a web browser. And of course, you can watch the video above for a full breakdown if you did want to see exactly what is happening here with the next generation of streaming Xbox consoles. But very interesting story to see here because, again, streaming is such a big part of the next generation of gaming. Is it going to be the majority of the next generation? Absolutely not, but it's going to play some kind of role. Because so many companies are backing it. With PlayStation, you have PlayStation Now. With Xbox, of course, you have Project xCloud. With Google, you have Google Stadia. So many of these companies are realizing that, hey, low entry points for getting into gaming are crucial to bring more people in so that maybe you could sell another mainline console in the future, or as streaming continues to grow, you have people investing more money and more time into that specific kind of experience. And so I think this is a good idea, because imagine spending, say, $600, let's just give it a little ballpark estimate, on a brand new Project Scarlett. Yes, you do have a lot of power built into that specific console, but at the same time, imagine spending $100 on a console that is just giving you the basic bare bones mechanics to get low latency streaming technology in your home, and then you can put that other $500 roughly into getting games and maybe paying for subscription services like your EA Access or anything like that. That would be a big alternative, a big draw for a lot of people that might be trying to stay a little bit more budget friendly whenever they are still trying to get into the next generation of whatever game console they do prefer. But I think it's a good idea. I think it should be the way that Microsoft goes about their next generation Xbox plans. But without a doubt, I think for at least the next generation, you are still going to have one flagship console, quite frankly, because that's what makes sense in the minds of many consumers. To see one specific device that is there for Xbox gaming, to see one specific device that is there for PlayStation gaming, that's what kind of just vibes with everybody's mind, because that's how things have always been. You go out and buy the next Xbox, you go out and buy the next PlayStation, the next Nintendo console, whatever you might have. And people haven't adopted that PC kind of mindset yet, where things do grow and evolve with time, and there are different SKUs and different versions of the console slash platform you are going to be playing on. People don't understand that yet in the console space necessarily in the same kind of sense that a PC gamer does. But I think that we are well on our way to that kind of reality, and if you do want a next generation cloud-only Xbox, you could be getting one. You could be getting one. However, hopefully nobody DDoSes any of the companies making these products, because a hacker has been officially sentenced to 2 years in prison for an attack on Daybreak Games. Derp Trolling Group also attacked Dota 2 and Battle.net. Another hacker behind attacks on Daybreak Game Company, then known as Sony Online Entertainment, is going to prison. Austin Thompson of Utah will be behind bars for the next 27 months, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of California announced on Tuesday. Thompson, 23, pleaded guilty in November. Official charge: damage to a protected computer in connection with attacks in late 2013 against SOE. His group, Derp Trolling, was allegedly behind several denial-of-service attacks on online service for several SOE games, plus Battle.net, League of Legends, and Dota 2 in late 2013. Thompson's attacks preceded by about 6 months of those of a group calling itself Lizard Squad, which targeted SOE and even made a bomb threat that forced a flight carrying its then president to land. Thompson was not involved in those crimes. In early January 2014, whoever was running Derp Trolling's Twitter account said that federal agents had shown up at their home, but they had escaped through the bathroom window. Thompson's plea agreement said he was in charge of that account. Thompson typically used the Twitter account at Derp Trolling to announce that an attack was imminent, and then posted scalps, screenshots, or other photos showing the victim's servers had been taken down after the attack, prosecutors said in a statement. Thompson will begin serving his sentence August 23rd, and he was also ordered to pay $95,000 in restitution to Daybreak Game Company. That's more money than they've made on H1Z1 in the past 5 years. Although unrelated, prosecutors in the United States and Finland also secured convictions for 2 members of Lizard Squad for their roles in attacks on the same target over the 2014 holidays. Zachary Bukta, then 20, of Maryland, received 3 months in federal prison and was ordered to pay $350,000 in restitution for his guilty plea in late 2017, and Julius Kivimaki was convicted in Finland in July 2015, receiving a 2-year suspended prison sentence for his actions. And that's pretty much the roundup of who has been arrested and charged as of today in the Daybreak Games attacks on then SOE. But it's good to see people being held accountable, because I think that there is, as we have been discussing previously, a wall that divides reality from the digital space. Whenever somebody is messing around with a company's servers, it doesn't feel like a crime for a lot of people, even though it quite frankly is, because you are literally impacting someone's livelihood and the entertainment value of whatever product they're putting out, thus lowering the value of it, and thus leading you to having to pay $95,000 and spend 27 months in prison. That's just how the world works. But with that being said, I'm sorry for the dig at Daybreak Games. H1Z1 has been making less money more recently, around 2 years, instead of the previous 5, because 5 years ago, H1Z1 was getting ready to do very well. I apologize for my dig at the company. Do I? But moving on. we do have the next topic of the day. Call of Duty Modern Warfare will let you reload while aiming down sight. Infinity Ward is rebooting the Call of Duty Modern Warfare franchise this year with a renewed focus on realism. In a new blog post, Infinity Ward revealed just how much more realistic this year's art in the Call of Duty game is going to be as compared to previous entries. Call of Duty developers have always prided themselves in delivering a realistic military shooter experience, but Infinity Ward wants to show how above and beyond the art team is going with the Modern Warfare reboot this year. The new artistic details in Call of Duty Modern Warfare aren't just cosmetic either. The new realistic flourishes are also leading to one important new gameplay feature: reloading while aiming down sight. For the first time ever by default, players will be able to reload their weapons while aiming down sight on their scope. In past Call of Duty games, the player's guns would be moved to the side while reloading or require a special attachment to reload down sight. And of course, here's a full list of the breakdown of the visual details Infinity Ward is adding to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And I want to go through these just because, quite frankly, it sounds like they are really upping the ante with the look of the game. Number 1, bullets will interact realistically with the environment. Then different types of bullets will have different animations. There will be new visual effects like sparks and smoke. A new active idle animation is more naturalistic while standing still. Your gun will also move more naturally as you run around. There's a deeper focus on translating a specific gun's weight into Modern Warfare's graphics. Seamless reload animations for guns and weapons. Reload animations will change depending on specific weapons. Different reload animations will also change depending on if your ammo clip is empty or not. The new reload animations also mean you can now reload your weapon while aiming down sight, as we discussed. Infinity Ward worked closely with Navy SEALs advisors to get the weapon animations just right. Developers and artists went to firing ranges themselves to get a feel for how weapons shoot in real life, and more detailed scope effects that changes depending on whether you're firing from the hip or through the scope. And of course, you can check out the release date, the platforms, all of that. IGN has the breakdown for you if you did want to get a little bit of a vibe of how you are going to be feeling when playing Modern Warfare. Personally, I'm going to be feeling really good because this is one of my most anticipated games of the year. Of course, I grew up with my first big FPS that I poured hundreds of hours into being Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Before that, the parents didn't really let me play that many violent video games, but then we just kind of broke the levee, and here we are today. So with Modern Warfare, I think this seems like a small story because I didn't cover it on yesterday's episode of Caffeinate, quite frankly, because it seemed like a small story. Again, to have a reload animation in the headlines seems like a very trivial kind of thing, but really it does change the experience a good bit because this does define what is real. Whenever you are aiming down sight, that's a very strategic position to be in. Of course, many people that camp, it's a legitimate strategy, tend to lay down, aim down sight, and so to be able to reload while laying down and aiming down sight does increase the level of realism you get from the game. But this bullet-pointed list really does outline how real this game is going to look. Because whenever you think about a Call of Duty game, there are small quirks that make it a Call of Duty game. Like whenever you're standing still, you do have that general idle reload animation or the idle standing animation where you just kind of pivot. A couple of things will happen with your gun, but nothing out of the ordinary. It still feels like a very much on-the-rail arcade shooting experience. But to switch that up, to have small little details like how the bullets hit walls in the environment, maybe ricochets could potentially become a thing in Modern Warfare. You could have a different kind of appearance when it comes to smoke and sparks, as they say in the bullet-pointed list. A lot of these small little details are what really are going to make the difference when it comes to making this engine, making this new Call of Duty game feel like a new Call of Duty game. Because looking at the trailer we've seen, this is not your classic Call of Duty. This is not your stereotypical Call of Duty. You are going to be getting something that we have never seen before from the franchise. I truly do think this one is going to be one of the best-selling FPSs this generation, and it's coming at the end of the generation. If this game is the game that I think it's going to be, we could be seeing some big records broken right here. Of course, Call of Duty traditionally sells better than its predecessor year after year after year after year. We saw the same kind of situation with Black Ops 4, which sold very, very well, despite being a kind of middle-of-the-road Call of Duty for many people. This one I have seen very minimal negative press on. Crazy how positive the community is going into Modern Warfare, because traditionally, whenever you have that kind of season of teasing that we're in right now, with Call of Duty, people are very negative. Well, it's going to be the same thing as last year, but with a different coat of paint and a different time period. That's the general vibe. Not this year, no. People that normally throw Call of Duty under the bus are at least generally interested in seeing what happens with Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And so I suppose we will see whenever the game launches later this fall, but man, does it sound like they are really going all in with the level of detail you can get in Modern Warfare. However, around the same time, you're going to be playing Grid, because now it has been delayed until October, so Codemasters can promote it more. Codemasters was tapping the brakes on the new Grid racing game it revealed to the world back in May. Initially slated to come off the line in September, the studio announced today it has been pushed back to October the 11th, although in an unusual twist, the delay apparently doesn't have anything to do with the state of the game's development. Quote, with Grid receiving multiple nominations and awards at this year's E3 event in LA, including being named Best Racing Game by Game Informer and DualShockers, the change has been made to give added exposure to a game we are hugely excited about, Codemasters explain. With a little more than 3 months until launch, our Grid and Codemasters channels will be revealing more info and gameplay and big announcements, with more major news coming in the next couple of days. Codemasters confirmed that anybody who buys the $80 Grid Ultimate Edition will still get 3 days of early access, October 8th instead of 11th, and that remains a big launch title for Google Stadia when it does go live. And so Grid has been delayed, specifically for the purpose of promoting the game, which I feel should have been talked about, and I think that what we have here is the situation where a studio and a publisher didn't quite expect this level of press. They didn't quite expect this level of positivity and this general level of excitement around their game, which is a good mistake to make. Now, I said it on Twitter, and I'll say it again on the podcast. Grid took me by surprise. The original game was given away for free on Steam a couple of weeks back. Actually, Grid, it might be 2, actually. Yeah, Grid 2 was given away for a freebie, just a little fluke, a couple of weeks back on Steam, and I dove in with minimal expectations because, hey, free game, might as well give it a shot. Lo and behold, really good racing game, really good handling. The graphics were very impressive for its time, and so I'm excited about Grid, shockingly enough, and I'm not really a big racing fan, and I think that's where a lot of people are right now. I've heard of Grid, but whenever I think about what games are coming out this year in the racing genre, I think specifically about Need for Speed. That's pretty much the first one that comes to mind. And so I think that Grid wants to take the time, the people behind Grid want to take the time to ensure that people also think about Grid when they think about what racing games are coming out this year, because there is a big open gap where a Forza would normally be and a Forza is not there. Somebody is going to slide into that space and make a big impression in the gaming community, and it looks like it's either going to be Need for Speed or Grid at this point in time. And so, of course, the guys behind Grid really want to make that happen. But I am very excited about this game, without a doubt, going to be one that I at least play on day one, whether it be through Redbox or going to a friend's house or something like that. A very, very beautiful looking game, and one that I think really did take people by surprise at E3. Apparently, the publisher and developer as well. No one really thought this game would get the kind of recognition that it did in fact deserve. So hey, congratulations to the team, and this is probably a really good reason to delay a game, although in the future would probably recommend going ahead and penciling a couple of weeks of promotion time in, maybe making a couple of extra tweets on TweetDeck ahead of time to ensure that people actually know the game is coming out. However, let's talk more about indie games, because EA Originals is the company's way of keeping in touch with talent as it struggles with its bad guy perception. An interesting story that I did want to touch on. EA Originals, the publisher's label for smaller games, was established so that EA's catalog can feature more than just the big games. Matt Bilby, Executive Vice President of Growth at EA, said that EA Originals wasn't just designed to create games EA doesn't usually make, it's also a way to change the perception of EA in the public eye. 25 years at EA, and I still struggle with the external perception that we're just a bunch of bad guys, Bilby told Games Industry. We love making and playing games. Unfortunately, when we make mistakes on games, the world knows about it because of its size and its scale. The other part of this desire for more interesting games is also EA's way of staying relevant by being connected to emergent talent. EA Originals partners get to keep all profits, with EA only taking a small fee to cover cost, such as this past week's Sea of Solitude, which was an EA original. EA Originals are also games that we don't make in the bigger part of EA or don't make enough of. So while there was a philanthropic part of it, selfishly it was the way for us to connect with talent on smaller ideas, Bilby explains. When you are in a company and have had successes and mistakes around live service microtransactions, free to play, what geographies, what partners to work with, what animation engines, it actually feels good for our teams to sit with EA Original developers and you can actually give real advice. It genuinely makes you feel good. It's advice to help them not make the same mistakes. Bilby also revealed that EA now has a sort of creative council headed up by Respawn's Vince Zampella, whose job it is to get involved with these smaller teams, help solve problems, and build trust. The rest of the interview goes into subscriptions, how these small developers view it, and how EA is helping them grow if you did want to check out the full rundown over there on Games Industry. But very interesting to say the least about the perception of what EA Originals is within the community, because quite frankly, I think it's a good idea. Whenever EA Originals was announced, it was definitely a movement away from the big name games like Battlefield, like Mass Effect, like Anthem, stuff like that. They wanted to kind of take a step back from that AAA vibe, but still stay connected to it and move more towards indies, and I think EA Originals has successfully done that. You see a couple of big name games in there, which I think A Way Out was the first one that really did take people by surprise. I could be wrong about that being technically an EA original, but it was a genuinely good game. However, at the same time, you have stuff like Sea of Solitude that does not feel like an EA game. That feels like something that an independent publisher and developer would probably put out, but no, it seems like it's been a pretty good ride so far. Of course, sales are not in yet for that specific game, but it does seem to be doing fairly well. I have not heard any kind of negative press about it so far. However, when it comes down to the perception of EA being the bad guy, that would be something that would be difficult to go into work every day knowing that the gaming community perceives you as an evil instead of a good. And that's something that should be worked towards to change. Now, I will say that Electronic Arts does make a lot of mistakes and have made a lot of mistakes in the past with microtransactions, with pricing models, with the way that games have been promoted, and then when they come out, oh, look at that, it's not that great. That kind of thing has definitely, without a doubt, damaged the reputation of the company. But at the same time, there is a lot of good that has been done as well, and I think that whenever anything is being promoted in the media, the bad outweighs the good in every situation, because people love bad news. I'm sorry, that's just the way that it is, and so people really riff on the fact that EA screwed something up. EA is taking advantage of gamers. EA is whatever they might be doing that specific day. They really get on that. But nobody talks about these small successes, and I think EA Originals is a way to kind of tap back into what makes a game developer, that passion. These companies can take their teams and connect with these smaller companies that are just beginning their journey to success and really do need help. They really do need advice. And the guys at EA have pretty much seen it all. And so to be able to go in and help these smaller companies, both financially in a bit of a small way, and on top of that, with just being there and giving advice, is a pretty good way to ensure that the next generation of developers and development studios is beginning to kind of get a feel for the industry and really kind of ease their way into it instead of being dumped in like a cat in a bath. That is a pretty good move in my opinion. The helping of the developers, not the cat in the bath. Wouldn't recommend that. But I digress. Let's move on to the next topic of the day. The PlayStation Classic, the much maligned console from PlayStation, has dropped to a price point of $25 at Best Buy and Amazon. How cheap does it have to be for you to get one? We get it. You really don't like the PlayStation Classic. You have told us over and over again, they say at Engadget, and we weren't huge fans when we reviewed it, but that was when it cost $100. The price quickly dropped over the next few months to $60, then to $40, and even to $30. Now, as Wario64 points out on Twitter, it's easily available at both Best Buy and Amazon for just $25, a 75% discount from the starting price. Sure, the controllers might feel a little cheap, but at least there's two of them. The 20 preloaded games may not be the strongest list ever and includes PAL versions with poor performance, but again, there are 20 of them, which include titles like Metal Gear Solid, Twisted Metal, and Final Fantasy VII. And people have even modded the system for successful sideloading. Whatever the issues of this attempt to cash in on the mini retro console craze, at some point it's cheap enough for nostalgia to win out. The real problem with buying one now, other than finding it unopened in 6 months once you've forgotten you even purchased it, is feeling like a sucker when they start giving them away on Black Friday. Yeah, That's right. They're probably going to do that. But again, right now, PlayStation Classic $25 at Best Buy and PlayStation Classic $25 at Amazon. As OKS Healer in the chat says, I may get it for $25. I'm feeling the same kind of way. I am really tempted to jump on this because, of course, as economics tend to flow and change with the times and the situation, $100 way too much for the PlayStation Classic, $60 still way too much for the PlayStation Classic, $40 you're getting there, $30 you're getting there. $25, you are still getting very, very hot. I saw somebody that pushed it through the Target Cardwheel app, and they put a whole bunch of promotions and stuff, and they got the PlayStation Classic for $16.24. That was what was hypothetical on Twitter. I saw no confirmation that was possible, but that's what I heard. That is the gold price point right there. That's whenever I stop everything I'm doing and order 3 of them. But with that being said, should you get one now? Let's go back through and talk about the games. Battle Arena Toshinden, I believe is how you say that name. Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. That is your full list of games available on the PlayStation Classic. So you've got some big standout games there. You do have Resident Evil Director's Cut. You have Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Again, Metal Gear Solid, Grand Theft Auto, Final Fantasy VII. There are games here that warrant $25. I think this is a pretty good deal right now. As of last night, I saw they were sold out on Amazon when it comes to the actual brand new version of the PlayStation Classic, but I'm sure Best Buy still has a stockpile at your local store if you do want to stop in and pick one up. But is it worth it at $25? That's up for you and your wallet to decide. You could wait until Black Friday because I'm sure they're going to be giving them away where they just tape them to the side of a PlayStation 4 or whatever you might have. Maybe even bundle it in with a couple of games. Buy 2 games and get a free PlayStation Classic at Target. Sounds like something that I could absolutely see on the cover of their little Black Friday ad. But with that being said, good to see it finally getting down to the point that it is actually going to be sold, because no one's paying $100 for that. But you know what you could pay over $100 for? Amazon Prime. That's how much it costs now. It's super expensive. But if you do have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. And if you have Twitch Prime, you have some Apex Legends skins, specifically for a Wattson and a new All-Star skin with Twitch Prime. In honor of the launch of Apex Legends Season 2, Twitch and developer Respawn Entertainment are partnering to give players new skins for the game's 2 newest additions, Wattson and the new All-Star Light Machine Gun. These 2 new skins are both getting released as part of a theme pack that's mostly focused on sparkly things and unicorns. Wattson's skin is called Sweet Dreams and is a purple and yellow jumpsuit with 2 different kinds of unicorns on it. Oh boy, just what I needed. More visibility in the dank wasteland that is Apex Legends. The All-Star skin is called Stellar Stallion, and it too features a lot of purple and what is either a horse or a unicorn. I bet I could guess which one it actually is. The 2 new skins are available to any players who have linked their Origin account with their Twitch account and have Twitch Prime. And to claim the reward, you can click on the crown in the top right of the screen when you're on Twitch, or you can follow the link which is in the article which I have linked down below. And so there is your free skin. Again, might not necessarily recommend this one. Seems very visible, bright, vibrant, and that's going to make you stand out. But if you just play Apex Legends for shits and giggles and you like just having a ton of firefights and just going all in, then this could be a skin you could probably use. At some point or another, we just sacrifice realism for just having fun in a game, and that's exactly what you've got going on here. Now, of course, there are more to come in the future. If you go to the link, which they have linked again, as I said, you do get the revealing of more of these skins to come. You've got a Bangalore skin coming, an Octane skin, and a Mirage and another weapon skin at some point down the line, more than likely over the rest of the summer time frame. But Apex Legends Season 2, as we said yesterday, has launched. It's in full swing. A lot of big additions to the game that do make it worth going back to. And again, it is a free-to-play game, so hey, why not dive in and give it another try? The new weapon, I hear, is pretty good. Wattson, either a hit or a miss depending on your play style. Seems to be a pretty slow character, but at the same time, pretty cool idea. But overall, the game itself, just really a tight, well-rounded Battle Royale game if you do want to dive in and give it a look. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of Caffeinate. Of course, happy July the 4th to those celebrating here in the United States. I do hope you enjoy some time with the friends and the family, and you take some time to play some games during the time that you might have off. But as for me, I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of Caffeinate around 7 a.m. Eastern Time right here on twitch.tv/Samuel Adams. But of course, if you don't catch the show live, you can always catch it on youtube.com/Samuel Adams Media or podcast services around the world if you do want the audio version of the show. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. I will talk to you soon. And also, before we leave, I do want to point out, you got the baby Trump. I was really proud of this. I added that yesterday. Yeah, that's going to be nice. That's floating over the National Mall later on today. Thought it was funny to put in the show. But regardless, you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.